Hi everyone, welcome back and thank you for recreating with me. Now this top was requested and I had to do a few research and I found out that this actually is a wrap top, but then it has pleats on the shoulders. So yeah, what we're going to do is create a wrap top and then we're going to pleat on the shoulders. We're going to slash and spread to get this effect. So thank you for joining me and let's get started. So I'm going to show you guys the process I'll follow to recreate this particular top. I'm going to draft out the basic bodice, front and the back, and secondly slash and spread the front to get that effect. So go ahead and also place the pattern on the fabric to cut, sew and create the sleeves. So sink this in and these are the process we're going to follow. Now this is my pattern paper and my pattern paper is folded into two. So make sure your pattern paper is folded into two and you're going to be finding out why. So please have your pattern folded into two. Now the first thing we're going to do now is mark our shoulder measurements. And to do this, I'll first of all rule a line here to indicate that this is the shoulder point. And on this point, I'll divide my shoulder measurements by 2 and I'll mark this down here. So my shoulder measurement is 15 divided by 2 gives you 7.5. I added 0.5 inch to make it 8. So what I'm marking here on my pattern paper is 8 inches. So I added 0.5 inches to my 7.5 and I'm marking 8. Now the next thing is to mark the slope. So we have to go down by 1 inch for the slope. And I always mark 1 inch down for my slope. So from this point, that's from the slope, or connect it like this to the neckline. We have succeeded in dropping the shoulder by 1 inch. So now we'll connect to the neckline and this is what you should have. Now the next thing is for me to divide my round armhole by 2 and then I'll mark this down from the slope. My round armhole is 16 divided by 2 gives you 8. And that's what I just marked. So make sure, confirm that your shoulder measurement is what is sitting on the armhole point. That's the width of your armhole is your shoulder measurement. And if it's not, go ahead and adjust and make sure it is equal to your shoulder measurement. And now you can connect to your slope. So I'll connect to the straight line. And I will also rule an horizontal line. And that is where the armhole curve will be sitting. So the next thing for us to mark the vertical measurement, and these are our points. The first point I'll be marking is my bust point. So I'll place my tape on the shoulder line, don't forget on the shoulder line. And then I'll go down by 10.5 for my bust point. I have provided the measurement on the screen, so go ahead and follow it and then mark along. Now the next thing I'm going to be marking is the length, and the length of my top is going to be 18 inches. Now at a point of this video, after we slash and spread, I'm going to be telling you guys the adjustment you need to do so yours comes out better than mine. Okay? So now we have this all figured out. This is the bust line and this is the length, which is also the waistline. And the next thing for me to do is divide my round bust by 4 and I'll mark this down on the bust line. My round bust divided by 4 is 9. So I'll connect the 9 inches points up to the armhole line like this. I'm taking it up. So now I have to find the middle point of my armhole. I'll place the tape, fold into 2 to get the middle point. And now I have my middle point, which is 4 inches. Now from the middle point, I'll mark ½ inch in. This place is the middle point. I'll mark ½ inch in because I'm about to mark the curve for the front. So creating the front armhole, you have to go in by ½ inch. So now I have my ½ inch now. I'll connect it with a curve to meet this point and also to meet the slope. So if you don't have a curve ruler, go ahead and freestyle it, use your hand and just get a curve connecting from your middle point, ½ inch. You connect to the slope and then to this point. And this is the front armhole. I'll also be marking the back armhole, and to get your back armhole you just need to connect the middle point to this point here. So you're not coming in by half an inch, you just connect from that middle point like this, you connect, and that is your back armhole. So we are creating this pattern from the basic bodice because of the beginner, so you can be able to recreate this top for yourself. So I'm just going to take my bust measurements down to the length. So what I marked on my bust is 9 inches. I'll be marking that same 9 inches on the length. So I'm not marking my waist measurement here. I'm marking the bust measurements. Now I have that, I'll connect it back to the bust line. I'm just going to add 1 inch allowance on my pattern. So on the length I'll add 1 inch. On the bust line I'll add 1 inch and I'll connect. So basically I just added 1 inch on all points. Go ahead and do that. So what I will do now is cut out my pattern because I need to trace out the back pattern. So for me to be able to do that, I have to cut this out, trace out my back pattern so we can go ahead and create our wrap for the front. Now just carefully follow this video and trust me, I know you're going to be able to get this right. So creating the back pattern, all we have to do is bring out a fresh pattern paper. I have mine here. I'll go ahead and place my front pattern on this fresh brown paper and trace it out. That is how we're going to get our back pattern. So bring out your fresh paper, place your front pattern on that fresh paper like this. So I prefer to use this point. The edges are cleaner. So I'll place my front pattern. I'll just place an heavy object to hold the both patterns together. You can use your pin to hold this down. And I'm just going to trace this out. Remember when I was cutting the pattern, I was only able to cut out the back armhole. So that's what I'll be cutting out on the fresh. I'll just trace out the back armhole just as it is like this. I'll trace this out. And once I was done, I'll take out my front pattern. And this is my back pattern. I'll go ahead and mark the neckline. So the neck depth for my back is going to be 1 inch. So I'll go down by 1 inch. That's my neck depth. And the neck width for this whole top is going to be 3.5 inches. So I'll be marking that on my back pattern. I'll go in by 3.5 inches. That is how wide the neckline will be for the back. I'll connect both points together. I'm connecting the depth to the width. With the curve, you can freestyle it if you don't have a curve ruler. And now I have my back neckline created. I'll just go ahead and cut this out and my back pattern is ready. So this is just very simple. The back pattern is really simple. So let's go ahead and create our front pattern. I'll go ahead and bring back my front pattern, and these are the steps I'll be taking. I'll mark the neck width, which is 3.5. Remember, I will mark that on the back pattern. I'll go ahead and mark on the front pattern. I'll mark the neck width. And now I have my neck width points. I'll go ahead and open up my pattern. You know it is folded into two. I'll open this up. And this is my front pattern. So what I'll do now is I have to connect the neck width to the base of the top. I'm connecting to the base, but before then I'll mark 1.5 inch upward from the base or 2 inches. So just on this other side where we just opened up, just come up by 1.5 or 2 inches. I just did 2 inches. And now once I have that 2 inches point, I'm just going to connect it to the neck width. That is why we folded our pattern into two. So once you are done connecting the neck width to the point you came up by from the side, I'll just go ahead and cut this part out. I don't need this part. You'll be seeing the part I don't need. So I'm taking out the side, and this is my front pattern. So let's go ahead and slash and spread this so we can get the pleat on the shoulder. So now I'll go ahead and just place my tape on my shoulder to confirm what I have here. And as you can see, I have 4.5 inches. I'll divide the 4.5 inches by 4, and I got 1 and a point. So you can see I folded my tape twice and I got 1 inch and a point. So I'll just go ahead and mark 1 inch and a point apart on the shoulder. I'll just keep marking 1 inch and a point, 1 inch and a point, 1 inch and a point. Make sure you really make this visible, and what I'll do now is connect the 1 inch and a point straight down to the length of the top. So these lines are going to help me slash my front pattern, and I hope how we got to this point was clear. You place the tape on the shoulder and find out what you have there, the measurement you have there. You divide that measurement by 4, and whatever you get, mark that apart from each point on the shoulder. Once you have that sorted out, you connect it down to the length of the pattern, and now we're just going to slash this open. At this point, I was supposed to label this out, like number it so I don't mix it up, but I'll be doing that at last. So make sure you do that. Just, you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can write ABC on each of these lines. So when we're done slashing and we want to piece this back, after, like before spreading, we'll know which goes where. Okay, so cut and number. I'm going to do that. I'm just gonna number this 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can use the letters, you can use the number as far as you remember what you did. I have a fresh pattern paper here, and I'll be using this to spread my pattern, my front pattern. Before then, I'm just going to rule a line to indicate the length. That's the waistline. This is just going to indicate the length, and it's going to help me spread the pattern. So I have this line here, and I'll just place each of my pattern on the line, and then I'll be spreading this by 1 inch apart. And that was my mistake, guys. I spread my pattern by 1 inch apart. And please, I'll be advising you to spread this by 2 inches to get the volume on the particular picture that we are trying to recreate. I did this because the fabric I was using to recreate this wasn't enough. I was managing, and so I already know that I was supposed to just manage, you know. So make sure what you do is spread your pattern by 2 inches apart so you can get the volume on the top, the exact volume. Now I was done spreading. I'm just using my tape to hold them down so they don't move, and I'll go ahead and cut this out. This is the official length, and I'll be cutting the rest out from here. I'll connect the shoulders first before I cut. So I'll just connect them before I go ahead and cut. So this is our official length, and this is the official top. It has been spread, and we're just cutting so we can place on the fabric. Please, guys, don't forget what I just said. Don't spread by 1 inch. Go ahead and spread by 2 inches or even more to get enough volume, like to make your top puffy and full. Make sure you spread by 2 inches or more. Now I'm just cutting out the front armhole. Remember, we didn't cut that before. I'm cutting it out right now, and this is our official pattern for this top. So the fabric I used for this top is crepe. I always use crepe. Yeah, I'm able to get good quality at the markets where I go to. The fabric I'm using right now is crepe. Note that. And right now I have 2 layers of fabric. You either go ahead and fold your fabric into 2, or you place 2 fabrics together to get 2 layers, and then you go ahead and place your pattern on this fabric. Now what I'll be doing is I'll use my pins to hold my pattern down to the fabric so it doesn't move when I cut. So we have to create the front facing. So this is what I will do on this part, the center front, the new center front. I'm going to mark 2 inches on this part. I'm just going to go out by 2 inches. So this is 2 inches, and I will go out by 2 inches on this part. Now this 2 inches is going to be for the front facing, and you'll be seeing how this is going to be the facing. I don't want to explain and get you confused before we get to that point, so just pay attention, and you'll see how this becomes our facing. So I'm marking 2 inches, and this is it. So now I can go ahead and cut out my pattern. So while cutting on the fabric, you can still decide to add allowance if you want to. Yeah, you can decide to add allowance, but make sure that you sew in all sewing allowance that you add. Yeah, okay. So while cutting out, don't forget to cut out your facing also. Cut this out. And now I am done. I will notch the facing from where the 2 inches stops. I'm going to notch it because that is where my facing stops. And I'm just going to take out the pins from the pattern and fabric. And this is my front piece. Because we have 2 layers, we have the 2 front pieces. I'm just going to indicate the wrong side, and let's create the back facing. For the back facing, I'll bring in a fresh fabric, just very small fabric. I'm just going to fold it into 2 like this and place my back piece. I'll trace out just the neckline on the back piece on this fabric, making sure I have 4 inches of fabric below it. I'm just going to trace this out, and then I'll just shape it the way I want. Go ahead and shape your facing the way you want it to be, girl. It's your top, so do it how you want it. So this is my facing. I'm going to go ahead and sew the facing to the top, making sure I place it right side facing right side, and I'll sew on the wrong side like this on the neckline. Remember to notch off your facing on the front because we're going to be folding this in like this. So fold it in like this and pin this to the shoulder. So from the notch, I folded this in, and you can see I've pinned this to the shoulder. Now I have my facing sewn to the back. As you can see, it is neat, it is clean, and I'm going to be weaving this later. Now I'll just place my tape on the shoulder of the back to confirm what I have there, just on the shoulder. And I got 4.5. So what I will do now is I will pleat my front shoulder to fit my back shoulder. That's on the shoulder point. I'm going to pleat the front shoulder how I want it. At this point, it is up to you to pleat it how you want it to be. If you want to be more creative, if you want to change the style, whatever you want to do, just go ahead and do. Just make sure you pleat the shoulder of the front piece to fit the back piece, because the back piece has the original shoulder measurements. We did not slash and spread it. So it has the original measurements. All you have to do now is pleat the front shoulder to fit it, and this is what I have. I'll go sew this by 1/2 inch, and this is how it's going to look after I'm done sewing. So yeah, I am done sewing, and this is it. I went ahead to iron this down so you guys understand what happened. This is the facing. So because we folded it in, now it is in, and you should have a clean front like this. So I'm going to be taking this to the weavers to weave the edges. If you want to hem this right now, go ahead and do that. You can hem, but I will be weaving mine. That is why I didn't hem. Now onto the sleeve part. Before we start creating the sleeves, we have to place the tape on the top armhole, and after doing that on mine, I measured and I got 9 inches. This is my pattern paper, and the length I have here is 10 inches, which was wrong because you can see that the top we're about to recreate has longer length. But like I said, I was working with smaller fabric. Now what I'll do is I'm going to mark the 9 inches on my pattern paper. I'm just going to place my tape like this and mark 9 inches on my pattern, and I'll rule a line like this to indicate that this is my 9 inches. Now from this point where the 9 inches stops, I'll go down by 5 inches. So on this point where I have my 9 inches sitting, I'll go down. So 9 inches here, I'll go down by 5 inches. And what I just have to do now is connect with a curve, create the sleeve curve. If you don't know how to do this, just look at what I'm doing and freestyle it. You don't need to be a professional to create this. Just make a very lazy curve here. You can use the dotted method. You can see that I actually used a curve ruler and then I used the dotted method. So anyone you can do, please go ahead and do that. I'll just go ahead and follow the point I have created to create my curve, and this is what I have. And now I'll just divide my round base by 2 and I'll mark this down. Where the sleeve will be sitting on my hand, I'll divide that round base by 2 and I got 6.5. I'll mark that down on the base of my pattern. And then I'll connect this to the curve I created, and that is it for the sleeves. No, we're still going to slash and spread this, so okay, so I have my sleeves now ready. I'll add 1 inch allowance first before we go ahead and slash this. So I'm just adding 1 inch. I'll connect this also and cut. So creating a sleeve is actually easy. There are so many ways you can create this. This way I just did now is just the fastest method. There are so many other ways, procedures. If you want to follow, you can follow them. If you want to do the fast way, you can do that. So for us to slash and spread this, I'm just going to place my tape on the base of my sleeves and measure out what I have. And once I know, I'll divide that number by 4. Again, just as we did for our top, our wrap top. We divided the shoulder measurement by 4. And that's what we're doing here. What we have on the round base, divide that number by 4. I got 1/2 and 1/4. So I'm going to be marking the 1/2 and 1/4 on the base apart, like the first point 1/2 and 1/4, the next point 1/2 and 1/4 from the other point. That is the distance between each point. So now I have the point indicated. I'll just take the line up like this. So I'll connect each point up like this. This is just going to help us slash and spread this. So once I run out of pattern, I'll mark the 1/2 and 1/4 up here. And then I'll connect it down. And don't forget to label this or number it. Anyone you can do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I can cut this. I can slash it so I can go ahead and spread. After slashing, this is what I have. I'll bring in a fresh paper. What I did was indicate a line again as the length, and this line is going to help me spread my pattern. So I'm just going to place each from accordingly from number 1 to 2, 3, 4, making sure I spread this by 2 inches apart. So creative. If you want more volume like the picture we are trying to recreate, please don't do 2 inches like me. You can increase yours to 3 inches or 4 inches, okay? I was working with lesser fabric, that is why I was doing all this managing. Don't be like me. Make sure you spread more than 2 inches. Spread your sleeves 3 inches apart or 4 inches so you can get the volume, and make sure your length is not as short as mine. I used 10 inches because I was running out of fabric again. But yeah, to get the length that is on the picture we're trying to recreate, I think it is just follow your elbow line. Your sleeve should be as long as your elbow line, okay? So once I was done spreading and I was satisfied, I'll just go ahead and trace this out. This is going to be my new sleeves. So I'll trace all the parts out like this, and then I'll go ahead and cut. Like I said, if you want more volume, please and please and please spread more than 2 inches. I did 2 inches and that was wrong. You can see that my sleeve was short and it wasn't even full. Now I have my pattern done. I'll go ahead and place this on the fabric. Make sure you have your fabric folded into 2. All you have to do is place your sleeves and then trace this out. On the fabric, I tried to increase the length a little bit so I can get at least some puffiness, but still I just couldn't get enough length. So yeah, I will indicate the wrong side of my fabric, and now I'll go ahead and pleat. So yeah, this is how I'll be pleating. I'll use my pin to hold down my pleat. Make sure you pleat and you're able to get what you have on your armhole on the top. I'm working towards 9 inches, which is totally 18 inches. That's 9 plus 9 gives you 18. So I have to make sure that this pleat I make is equal to 18.5 or 19 because of the sewing allowance. So I'm just going to go ahead and pleat, and this is what I have. I'll place my tape first to confirm before I go sew in the pleats. And yeah, once I was satisfied, and I'll take this to the machine, and now I'm just sewing down my pleats. I'm holding them down. Okay, yeah, to get enough volume, don't forget to increase the length and then spread for more than 2 inches. So once I was done holding down the pleat, this is how it looks. At the base of my sleeves, I'm going to create a channel for the elastic. So I'll fold this twice, making sure that I create a 1/2 inch channel for my elastic. The elastic I'm using is 1/2 inch wide, and I have to make sure that the channel I create is able to accommodate my elastic. So that's what I'm doing right now. At the base of my sleeves, I'm just creating the channel for my elastic, and I'm sewing this into the wrong side of the fabric. That is why you can see the line I indicated as my wrong side, and this is how it looks. So I'll just keep creating my channel, and this is it. This is the elastic I used, and this was 11 inches long. I'll use my needle, my hand needle, to sew my elastic first to hold it, while I use my needle again to pass this through the channel I've created for the elastic. So yeah, I'm just passing my elastic through. While you get to this point, make sure you pin this down. Once I was done, this is what I have. I'll just sew my sleeves together from the elastic. I'll hold this and I'll join my sleeves together. We're almost done, you guys. Learn to walk before you fly. You need to enjoy your life. Now this is what I have. I'll flip this to the right side so you see what I'm working with. You can see that this sleeve is just I don't know, just so short. But yeah, I had to work with the fabric I had. I went ahead to join from this side. So this side is done. I'm just going to show you guys how to attach the sleeves. So I'll use this part I just created, this sleeves I just created. I'm sewing from this side. I'm going to attach the sleeve, making sure that the lines on this part that's on the sleeves and on the top sit together. I'll just place them together like this, and then I'll sew by 1/2 inch round. So at this point, we are done with this tutorial or this process. This is how I created my own pleat wrap top. So what I would say is the adjustment I would say that you need to do to get the actual volume of the picture we are trying to recreate. While creating your wrap top, spread for more than 2-3 inches so you can get enough volume for your pleats. When you pleat the shoulder on the front, you have enough pleats. And also increase the length of your top. I did 18 inches, which was the wrongest move ever. So but apart from that, this top came out really beautiful. I love it. It's beautiful, it's stylish. And you guys, this is the ruche skirt. You guys requested for it, and it is coming next. And this is the after look of my top. I totally love it. Also, while I was styling this, I realized that there are so many ways you can wear this top, because it's a wrap top. And yeah, you can basically do anything with a wrap top. Like, there are so many ways you can wear this. And yeah, you guys, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for sticking with me from the beginning to the end. Hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comment section. And if you have not already given this video a thumbs up, please go ahead and do that. If you're new, please be a part of my creative platform. Join by subscribing. I would really love to have you here, and you can send me questions. You can send me anything you want to on my Instagram, on the comment section. Just go ahead and send me a message. Thank you once more. I love you guys so much. Keep being creative, keep being you. Love and light to you wherever you are. I wish you more creativity. Bye.